Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. As you know, I went over in my talk, and it's thrown everybody later. I don't want you guys to miss out on food and drinks, so I brought some extra croissants up here. If you get hungry during the workshop, you can come up and get them. Hopefully water will be enough to tide you over. I'm sorry, I'm gonna lock you in. You've chosen the workshop and you have to attend the entire thing. This is not something you can come and go and say, oh, he's boring now, I'm gonna go. You have to stay the whole time because it is a workshop, it's work that you need to do, and that's why I'm giving you this logistics first. Some of the videos and some of the things I showed you up in my talk, so we'll skip over them as we move forward. I will skip through some of those things, but I do want to show you that first video again, and I want you to see if you notice anything different about what's said, even though it's technology and it's AI and it's an avatar. I want to see if you notice some of the things that I also said later in my talk. And then we're going to go into the beginning. I'll give you the setup and we'll work on this. Hi, I'm Marc. That's not good. The reality is, never before in human history have we transformed from one era or epoch to another without innovation. Now, we are entering a transformative innovation supercycle with the convergence of quantum computing, a new human-machine interface powered by generative AI, as well as AI-enhanced genetics, biotech, robotics, and wearables. And this at a speed we have never seen before. For 3.8 billion years, quantum mechanical systems and other forms of sentience have existed in this natural world, in fungi and mycelium, in plants, bees, and animals, throughout scientific history, long before humans even appeared on Earth. Although much attention is given to the uncertainties and debates of quantum computing and AI, it is crucial that we do not overlook the importance of Earth's biodiversity and the valuable lessons we can learn from its systems. In biology, as in life and all living systems, 1 + 1 never ever equals 2. The real question I'd like to ask you is, what does a world that works for everyone look like to you? This question has been circulating for over 70 years, and it's the one we need to tackle today. Let's embark on this transformative journey together. Now, here is the real Marc Buckley to continue this enlightening conversation with you. Did everybody who's here see the beginning of my talk where I had you close your eyes? Okay, so I'm not going to repeat that again. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you, for some reason my slides aren't showing. Okay, there we go.
This sound is made by 100 human voices, becoming one sound that connects us all for a moment. Yet there is something more. Everything that lives in the world is united by one thing: water. The vibration of the voices creates shapes on the water surface, wave patterns of harmony that we find everywhere in nature. You are, and everything that lives with you here in this world is sound, vibration, waves, resonance. You are sound. We are one.
That was done in Hamburg, Germany, and the Barclays Arena, and there was probably about 300 people there in front, but there was 60,000 people altogether that we did that humming with. And I want to talk to you a little bit more about resonance and frequency, and here's another video to explain that.
The film you're about to see has new characters. If you spare a little of your imagination, this is a film to describe to you the effect of cybernetic frequencies on matter.
So this workshop, A World That Works for Everyone, what does a world that works for everyone look like for you, is one that I give for 7 days, 8 hours a day, with lunch breaks and a couple coffee breaks, for the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, the European Union, and the World Government Summit, and for large organizations. The last time I gave this to the United Nations, to 360 people of the United Nations, 200 plus country delegations, member nations, states, representatives, and about 32 non-party delegates. That means like corporations and NGOs, Microsoft, Google, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and the UN General Secretariat. That means the UNFCCC. That means the people who run the climate conferences. And the reason I give this workshop is we're trying to predict and get people thinking into the future. What are the models? What does the world? What are the goals? And it's a very intensive workshop that I've condensed down into 2 hours for you. So you guys, probably heard and seen the movies The Fast and the Furious, and they're probably on 10 or 20. I don't know what number they're on now. I'm taking 7 days and giving you that in a Fast and Furious 2 hours thing. So it's going to be extremely intense. And it is a workshop. It's a workshop for you. It's not about me. It's not about my ego. It's about giving you the tools to be quantum you squared, to take that quantum leap, to make a discovery for you so that you can then also apply that to your organization, to your place where you work, your school, not only your life, but align that with whatever you do in life. Because as I said up above, there is only life. We're not in the business of business, we're in the business of life. And so, having said that, I want you to imagine for a moment, you're at the United Nations and there's 200 countries there. Russia and Ukraine, Gaza, so there's Israel and Palestine. Do you think there's some conflict or differences? Do you think they're on the same page? Do you think that Iraq or Iran or other places of the world are all aligned? It's chaos. And I'm trying to align them, and that's why it's 7 days. And the reason I just showed you what I showed you is everybody has their own agenda, their own idea, their own reason for being there. They're representing the Philippines, and they want to represent the mission of the Philippines. And then there's Russia, and they want to represent the mission of Russia. And then there's the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and they want to represent what they want to represent. When we're at meetings that are talking about hard questions and hard subjects, we need to show everybody that they can come together and align and resonate with each other and come to an agreement on something so that we can move forward with new agendas, new goals, new ideas, correct? And so I start out all the meetings at the UN and these international organizations with just a very short resonance. And I use for the resonance a hum. Hum is a universal language. It's a universal frequency that is known all over the world. If you like good food, if you like this croissant that they served outside, mmm. If you disagree with something I say, you say, If you like something I say, or if you like somebody, you see somebody, You know, there's a way that we can communicate beyond language, beyond cultures, beyond divisions with basic frequencies. Now, you saw the resonance in the two movies, how they align. The thing with resonance is when people resonate on the same frequency, that frequency aligns and it unifies and then it amplifies and it raises that frequency. And when people align on the same goals and visions and missions and frequency, it amplifies that frequency into momentum, into action, into an energy that can be used in the future. And so beyond words and thoughts and ideas and controversy, I want to show everybody that they can align. And so I have a website and a project I started before I did this at the UN. It's called the resonanceproject.earth, and this is kind of like a tuning. So I want you to resonate with me for just not even a minute. Keep your eyes open. You don't need to close your eyes. And I just want us to all hum, use that universal sound and just hum. When you take a deep breath before we start and then hum. And then if you need to take another deep breath, just pause, take a deep breath, and then hum again. We'll do it for about 30 seconds. Let's see if we can align our hum, and let's see if we can feel it come together and amplify itself. Okay, go ahead and hum with me. Thank you. So, resonanceproject.earth. I'm 53 years old, and I don't know about you, but has anybody been to the hospital to get an MRI through an MRI machine to have their body looked at? Well, I have. And you know what an MRI machine is? It's a magnetic resonance imager. So a lot of people think when you hum or you chant or you have some frequency, they're like, oh, that person's spiritual, or they're hocus pocus, they're tree hugger, they're woo woo woo. There's nothing woo woo about it. It's science, it's math, it's a proven fact, it's how our world works. They use a magnetic resonance imager with using frequencies to get into the atoms of our body to see what's going on. Frequencies are used throughout our world, and I wanted to show you how it affects water, which our body is a big part of our body is water. And I wanted to show you that it's something that if we can align and come together and resonate one with another, that we can then amplify that resonance and go forward in an organization, in your religion, in your country, in your community. And it is a powerful tool, and that's why I do that before we get into difficult negotiations at the United Nations. First, that we come together, instead of saying a prayer, instead of meditating, just let's see if we can resonate together, come together and amplify our frequency to a higher level, one to another. If you want to build a ship, don't drum up the men to gather wood, divide the work, and give orders. Instead, teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea, for the adventures, for the beauty, for the fun things that would happen on those expeditions. You are not workers. You are not in the business of business. You're in the business of life, and I am trying to get you to yearn for the vastness of intergenerational futures, of the future of regeneration, where you live beautifully, where you live healthily, where you live in harmony with our natural world and others, that you're happy in the work you do, and happy in the lives you create and how you live on this earth. That's my hope and desire for all of you. So I'm going to also skip a lot of this because you got this in my talk. If you think about the futures, what jobs do you think about in 2030? This is Forbes magazine, and they listed some jobs in 2030 that they thought might be available. Are any of those jobs currently exist? Yeah, soil doctor is there, organic stylist, I don't know, master composter is there, mushroom farmer we already have, rooftop farmer we already have, ocean protectors we already have, seed keepers we already have. That's Vandana Shiva, by the way. So we need to start thinking about the future, because the jobs that you have now, the things that you're doing now, they're not going to be around in the future. It's going to be a much different world, not only from AI and all those things. In this course, in this workshop, we're going to cover those items that I talked about in my presentation. We're going to talk about systems thinking, ecological literacy, regenerative literacy, and intergenerational justice and vision. And so I want you to now, I hope you all have the internet. If not, there's a free Wi-Fi here. I want you to hook up to the Wi-Fi. I want you to scan this in, and I want you to download this PDF. What you're downloading is not something crazy or a virus. What you're downloading is this workbook that's right in front of you. And I want you to download it because it's an interactive PDF of this workbook, but it's much different. But I want you to download it and have it ready because when we're about halfway done with this workshop, we're going to go to that interactive PDF. But until that time, we're going to work from this one that's in front of you. And like I said, it is a workshop, and you are going to have to do work. This is for you to get you to be quantum squared, to be you squared and take that quantum leap. So now we're going to go to a series of questions. Matter of fact, I'm going to ask you 13 questions back to back. They're all timed questions. They're also in this workbook, and I want you to write in this workbook. Now, I want to explain to you a little bit why I do this. There's scientifically proven that when you take a pencil or a pen, even better, a pen that cannot be erased, and you physically write down in a journal or on a piece of paper, there's a connection between your brain, the pencil or pen, and the paper that makes you think better, makes you remember better, has more permanence to what you're writing down. Everybody, please write down as full answers as you can to answer these questions on this paper, because we're going to take that answer that you write down and we're going to transfer it to the digital version. So now, as I give you one last instruction or help with this, when you write down, write in English, print, please print legibly. And the reason I'm telling you this, some of you probably have beautiful cursive handwriting and you can do all sorts of artistic things, but we're going to use technology to take a photo of that or to scan that in and put it automatically into the digital version. We might even, some of us, use our voice, an audible way, to put that into the technology to use that further for us as well, into that interactive PDF. And so the more legible you write down your answer, the easier it is for us, without duplicating your effort, will be to transfer it to that digital version. Now this, you have to think about this as a journal, your personal journal that you keep. I don't see this. I'm not going to ask you about this. I'm going to maybe ask you how you feel the results are, but you don't need to share it with anybody unless you want to. In the last session, and last workshop I did, people loved it so much that almost everybody was saying they couldn't believe it and was sharing it with their neighbors. They were very proud about it. There was very few that did, but you don't have to do that. That's up to you. This is for you. And it has the same value as a very personal, powerful journal that will catapult you in the future. So, the first question is the one that we've already asked. What does a world that works for everyone look like for you? And this question will get 3 minutes to answer it. I haven't started the timer yet. And almost all the other ones, you'll get 2 minutes, only 2 minutes to answer the question. And then there's 13 questions and multi-part questions. And then there's one at kind of towards the end, the second to last one, you'll get 5 minutes to answer. And I'll try to explain as we're going through what some of those mean or how to understand them. But this first one, there's not much explanation other than the talk you just heard. But I want this to be your answer, your very personal answer. And even if you learned something from my talk before, you're welcome to include this in here as well. Or if you have a different answer, that's fine. Go ahead and start now. A little bit over a minute left. Write down as much as you can. So this is your answer. There's no right or wrong answer. And it should be personalized to how you feel and what you feel the answer is. I just want you to kind of understand a little bit more. In my presentation, I showed you Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Those are the basic physiological and security needs of human beings, of us. And then as the layers go up, you kind of transcend and get to a better way of living and better way of life and being, and you can think about others more. I want you to know that what we're talking about now and these questions, they're the bottom layers. So I'm 53, as I mentioned, and I know there's some people in here that are around 20, 25, and you know, some younger people, but then there's a lot that are already 30, 40s, and 50s, and maybe even a little bit older. About after the age of 25, you should have the basics thought about. You should have enough schooling. You should have enough of education and examples from community and job to already have mastered or thought about the basics. If you get to be my age and you're still trying to figure out how to sleep at night, how to go to the bathroom, what kind of food you can eat, if you do homeostasis, excretion, if you're worried about security of body, security of employment, what have you been doing on this earth for 30, 40, 50 years? And I don't want to shame anyone, but our job is not to be workers. We're not workers. Our job is to evolve and live life and to live a good life. And so we should be thinking about these questions. And by, even if you haven't, don't feel bad. Even if you're my age or older and you don't know, now's the time. And so I'm kind of nudging you in that direction, because I promise you, when you know these answers and you find it out for yourself, it makes you quantum mechanically, it makes you powerful, it makes your life abundant and successful and impactful, and you feel better and you can do more and you have more success. Even if you're in retirement age, it makes your retirement so much better. The next question: what is your organization's mission, vision, or purpose for existing? An organization can be a family, a company, a school, a culture, a religion, political party, etc. If you cannot quickly write down, even if it is roughly what it is, then write down, I do not know, or it is to provide me with, example, income, knowledge, or guidance. Your why, or purpose for existence, comes from Simon Sinek. He wrote The Golden Circle, the Start with Why University. And the purpose for existing comes from a book from John P. Strzelecki, The Big Five for Life. Go ahead and start. You have 2 minutes. Okay, next question. The next question is a multi-part question, kind of all related to each other. How long have you been with your current organization? An organization can be family, company, school, culture, religion, political party, or etc. Will you be with them in 6 years? 6 years is December 2030. If no, what will you be doing if you're not with them in 6 years? Will you be a parent? Will you have a job? Will you be a doctor? Will you be retired? Will you be with a new organization? Will you be with this organization in 26 years? That's December 2050. If no, what will you be doing? Will you be retired? Will you be dead? Will you be a billionaire? Will you be the world's new philanthropist? Will you be an author? What will you be? Where will you be? And if you won't be with them in 26 years, where will you be? Go ahead and start. 2 minutes. And just so you know the dates, so 2030 is the end of the Sustainable Development Goals, that's 6 years. 2050 is when we're supposed to be carbon neutral, that's the European New Deal, Green Deal. A lot of people and companies and organizations set goals by 2030 and 2050. Some younger people say, I'll be graduated, I'll get married, I'll have a baby, I'll have 6 babies, I'll get married and divorced and have a baby, get a PhD. Be promoted. Okay, next question. What is your why? And this is also a very similar question. It's really not different. What is your purpose for existing? And I told you earlier, those come from 2 people, Simon Sinek's why and John P. Strzelecki's Big 5 for Life. There are things, usually for us personally, what's your vision, your mission, your purpose, your why? Not the how, not the what, but the why. And it's a really big question that ties into the bigger question, what does a world that works for everyone look like for you? Now, when I say we're not in the business of business, and when I say we're in the business of life, and that there is no work-life balance, that there's only life, that's why I tell you, ask you, what's your why and what's your purpose for existing? Because if you're working for somewhere or someone that is opposite of your personal why and your personal purpose for existing, then that's not work-life balance. That's a continual conflict for you. And so I want to know those. Go ahead and start. 2 minutes. How many of you have been through a Start With Why University or a why course or a purpose for existing course to discover your why or purpose? Anybody? Has anybody done that themselves on their own and kind of already know? Yeah, a few of you. That's great. I want you to know, so before you all got here, I came down and got set up. I was the only person in this room, and this room was extremely cold. It was colder than upstairs. Well, I don't know if you notice now, it's pretty warm, isn't it? And I want to tell you that I'm so thankful to you all because I can feel your energy. Luckily, I haven't seen any smoke come out of anybody's ears or people start to sweat, but you guys are really focused. I'm watching you. You're writing down. You're in the flow, you're in the momentum, you're really thinking about it deeply, you're taking this serious, and I want you to know that's not a given. So I really appreciate that, and I hope you can also sense the energy of the importance of some of these questions, and I really commend you. I do a lot of these around the world with international organizations. Some people don't take it as serious as they should, and try to come in and out and think this is something, but I really appreciate you taking it serious because this is something you can take away for the rest of your life, and I wanted you to know that I can sense how good of a job you're doing, and it's not an easy thing. Like I said, this is normally a 7-day course, every day, 8 hours a day for 7 days, and we go through this why process and these questions almost every day until we come to the end with the truthing. Because what happens in the first part of it, just so you're a little bit behind the scenes, what happens in the first part of these, people give answers and things of very superficial, very kind of shallow answers. They're not very well thought out, or they're still kind of discovering. And as they go throughout the course, and you guys are luckily heard me speak upstairs, they kind of start to think about it more, and it gets deeper and it has more meaning. The same will be with this course. Even though you have this, I'm going to give you the tools and some things that you can use later that you can make these finer. You can fine tune and make them even sharper and even more powerful, that they can develop and evolve even better than what you will come away with today. But I'm going to give you some tools in a few minutes that you're going to be very surprised from what you put down on the paper with the tools we use, how sharp and powerful they will be by the time you use these tools. And it's a really good source. Okay, the next question is list all the models you are living in your daily life. A model is an economic model, a social model, a life model. Are you in a dictatorship? Are you in a matriarchy? Are you in a patriarchy? Are you capitalistic, hedonistic, attention economy? Are you religious? Are you inclusive? Are you a separatist? Are you a feminist? Are you in the fitness economy? Are you in the regenerative economy? Are you in the labor market? Are you part of a monarchy, a hierarchy? Are you extractive, conscious, patriarchal, colonialistic, conservative, pluralistic, social, Democrat, liberal, etc.? And I want you to think of the most typical day in your life, whether that's a Monday or a Friday, where you're kind of the busiest, most typical day in your life. How many models are you living? And I can tell you right now, most people around the world are living about 5 different models every single day. Those of us who are older, some of us are fathers or mothers, we have children, we have to drive them to school, get them to school, we make breakfast, we go to work, we are religious, we have certain obligations through our church, we have other obligations on to other commitments, we want to do sport, we want to do whatever, and so we tend to converge on 5 different models on a typical day of our life. So go ahead and start and just write down as many models as you think you touch upon on a most typical day of your life. You guys are amazing. Thanks. So we've got, I think, 5 more questions left, or 5 or 6. But this next phase is a really fun part. I really like it. It's the Ikigai. Has anybody heard about Ikigai? Japan, and it's really, Ikigai means a reason for being. And it's also very similar to purpose for existing or your why. And it's kind of a journey process. It's a journey that I want to show you. So you start with what the world needs, and you go to what you're good at, and then you go to what you love, and then you end up at what you can be paid for. And all those intersect in profession, vocation, mission, and your passion. And if you can get them into the middle, if you can be exactly in the middle, that's where you want to be, where you're whole, where you feel in balance, where everything's working, because all those life models have come together, and they're all one thing. They're all together. And if sometimes you can say, oh, well, my profession is something that I'm good at, and I can also be paid for it. But it's not really what I live or what I love, and it's not really a true vocation or a mission or what the world needs. It's just providing me with money and what I'm good at. Or somebody could say, boy, I have this mission, I do what I love, and it's something that the world needs, but I don't get paid for it. I can barely survive. And it's not really, I'm not really good at it, and I don't get paid at it. It's not truly a passion. And so you can see where you might say, boy, I'm in this sector or this sector, but it's not 100% fulfilling. There's something missing. And the real objective is to bring those all into the center so that they're not in that balance, but they're in this life model where you're addressing all the facets of a complex system. So the next questions are really to answer these 4 Ikigai questions. The first one is, what does the world need? What do you think would make this world a better place, and there is not enough of it out there? In which areas of life do you see a clear need for improvement, locally or globally? And what kind of products or services in general would contribute to the improvement of the quality of life? You have 2 minutes to answer that question. Okay, next question. What are you good at? What skills have you been spending time to practice? What do people look to you for help with? Is there anything you want to be good at? 2 minutes. Go ahead. Got more of those croissants up here if you get hungry. There's water at the table. If you need to go to the bathroom, feel free, but please hurry back. Next question. What do you love? What have you never gone bored of? What's something you've always been drawn back to do over time? What gets you in the flow? That you forget to eat or drink or sleep? What when you do it? Something that's so exciting, you love it so much that time stands still or just flies by, you don't even realize it. Go ahead and start. I want you to know that 2 minutes is just not a lot of time, and you guys are so awesome. I can't believe how good and efficient you are. I mean, if you think about the questions that we're asking, it's like telling somebody, tell me in 2 minutes how a plane works and can fly. And then when you're done, let's go jump on the plane that you've created and let's go fly around. I mean, it is super hard work that you're doing, and I really appreciate that you're putting this effort in. The last one is, what can you do to get paid for? Now, I have to be honest with you, I hate that word. I hate to feel like a laborer, I hate to feel like a slave. What can I be paid for? It almost makes me feel cheap. And so I've kind of substituted the word, what can you do that you get valued for, that you get value out of? And so what that means is, what have you been paid for before, or what have you been valued for before? What would you be doing if you are not in your current position or job? And what would you want to get valued for or paid for? Go ahead and start. Okay, we're on the home stretch now. Not much longer to go, and we're gonna get into some really fun stuff. This one, as you can see, is 5 minutes to answer this one, and the reason is it's a synthesis or a synopsis of the 4 previous questions. So what I want you to do is, based on your answers to the 4 previous Ikigai questions, try to synthesize them down into one to get into that center. What would that look like? And formulate your Ikigai, your reason for being. What is the at the center of the intersection of our passion, mission, profession, and vocation? And I'm going to give, since it's a little bit harder, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to get to the center. And I know some of you are very creative. I see people drawing circles already and kind of putting words in. Be as creative and write as much as you want. We will take a picture of that on your phone or your smart device as the trick next. But go ahead and start. lot of people go back to the last 4 questions, flip back to those pages to try to synthesize that. Some people know right off the bat. I'm so proud and happy for you guys because I really see how you're putting some effort into this and thinking about it. Doing a real good job. It's not an easy thing. Does anybody need another croissant? Okay. There's plenty up here. I'm not going to tell on anybody, but last workshop I did was in Bangkok in Thailand. There was a gentleman who was 42 and a lady who was 36. And there was approximately, I did the workshop twice at a big tech event called Tech Sauce. And they started breaking down crying when I got to the what is your why and what is your purpose for existing. They started physically crying. One lady was in hysterics. She felt that she was at age 36 and she didn't know her purpose for existing or her why. And I want you to know that's okay. I've had that same feeling. I've been in a situation, what's the meaning of all this? Why are we here? Does it make sense to do this job? You know, what's going on? And felt kind of lost. So what you guys are doing here is absolutely amazing. And I'm so thankful and honored that you're letting me share this moment with you of this discovery and this importance. I promise you that I hope you take this paper, even though not so pretty, and kind of value it like a journal and let it evolve from where it started today, and it'll be fine-tuned. Now is the point that we take and, that we utilize technology and that super cycle that I talked about in the AI video, and also how I talked about that quantum leap and that artificial intelligence. So I had you scan and download that interactive PDF of this same thing that you just filled out. Now I want you to scan this and do something with it. So the interactive version lets you click that button and then it takes you to ChatGPT and lets you put in a prompt. This is a specific generated AI that I've created specifically for you and for this group here. And they're both the same. You can scan that QR code and it opens up the same ChatGPT. Now I have a few questions before. How many people do not use AI or technology or are kind of beginners here, which is okay? Has everybody used AI or used computers? They're all okay, savvy on their smartphone? Great. So please scan this QR code. Now, if you haven't registered for a free ChatGPT, quickly do that now. It only takes a few seconds. You just put in your email and you don't have to pay for anything. You don't have to do anything special. If you already have a ChatGPT free account or even a paid account, you can use that and it's even better. So if you've been using ChatGPT yourself, maybe you've created your own personal bots and your own GPTs that are personalized to you. I've done that for myself, and I've created ones that are based off of sustainability and regeneration, and a lot of the words and the things that I've used, and I've trained them. Now, what I've done is I've created a specific GPT for you, and that's this one. So please get to that prompt, and then if you need to register or do that, sign up for the free thing. Put in your email, and then it will open this prompt as you do that. And when you're there, let me know. Is everybody there? Can everybody see the prompt? I can see it. You've got the prompt. Perfect. You've got the prompt. How about you? Great. Okay, now before you fill that out, I'm going to tell you what the tip and tricks we're going to do. Are you there? You're there? You're there? Super. Who is not there? Who should we wait for a couple minutes? Most everybody there can see the prompt and is there? I'll give you a few more seconds. Because here's the tip or trick. So there's two things what we're going to do now. This prompt, we're going to take the very first question, what does a world that works for everyone look like for you? And the very last question that we just did, the synthesis, And you can do it two ways. You can read it in. There's a function where you can press speak and you can just read those two in. You just flip between the pages. Or you can take a photograph of the first page and the second page and you can upload that photo from your phone directly into that prompt so that you don't have to type it. Or if you like to type and you have fast thumbs or fingers, you can go back to the first and the last question, the what does a world that works for everyone, and the synthesis question, and you can type that into that area and then hit enter. So there's 3 different ways I told you you could do it. You could type it in by going to the first and the last questions and type in what you wrote. You could take a photo of each of those and upload them to the prompt and hit enter. Or the third one, you can actually speak it, handwrite it, and speak it in by reading those pages. So then as some of you do that, scan the first page or the last page and put it into that prompt and hit enter, what it's going to do is it's going to even fine-tune what you've written, try to help you with suggestions, try to make it even fine-tuned. If you already had a GPT account and you've already trained it and done some things, it will apply what you already have done for that, and it will apply it to this and make it even finer and more personalized to you, and then it'll give you some actionable steps to move forward. Does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask or difficulties that I can help with? Okay, I'm going to come over and see if I can help.
So just how do I have to type that in first and then the last one, the last page? Or?
So you type in the answer in there, and then you write. You just hit period and then space, and then you go into
the last page,
to the last synthesis question.
Which is,
I think it's right before here, right?
Yeah.
It's this one.
Okay.
You type in as much as that, and you can actually even take a photo of that and upload it. So you might be able to hit that paperclip button.
And so add, right, and add as well?
And you add it into that. Those two questions, the two answers to the first question and the synthesis question, you can put in there some way. You can mix it between stuff that you write in and a picture. It's pretty.
Is it meant to turn out like this? I just
Yeah.
uploaded the 2 photos.
Yeah, that's perfect. And then what it does is it kind of gives you another synopsis. It fine-tunes it. It gives you a summary, and then it gives you actionable. So, and for some people, there's been amazing results. So I'd like you to do that, and then I want you to read it, and I want you to see how you feel about that. And if anybody's willing to share what the answers they got, or how they feel, did it turn out good? Are you disappointed? Yes. You have a question?
It is the one that I wrote.
Uh-huh.
So then what happens after this?
You typed it in and then hit enter. I think this should be your results. So scan that, and then here, let me grab my glasses. I'm blind.
Enter the answer over here.
Yeah, you answered both the answers. This answer and
You just enter.
you could take a photo of it, you can speak it in,
I don't have to put in the question. Right?
you can photograph each of them and then hit enter, you can type it in, you can speak it in.
It's only these 2 pages.
So like can I do this?
Oh.
It'll go camera. Depending on how good you wrote, that should work. And if it doesn't, then you might need to type it or speak it in. Okay, so. Sports management, sales and marketing, environmental social governance, marketing and communication, data analysis. Would you like to create an image that illustrates both what you're good at and what you want to learn? Let me know how you'd like to represent these skills through whatever icons, diagrams, or visual styles for your. And then you can actually go to speak it and say, I'd like you to synthesize both my photos and answers into my ikigai and what does a world that works for everyone look like for you, and give me actionable results and a synopsis of both of those questions. And what you want to fine tune, and if you did too many bullet points, sometimes it says, okay, so this is not meant to be a long computer course or GPT course, but it gives you a short idea of what the powerful. Did anybody have amazing results or kind of okay? Anything super come out for anybody? Ewan, did you have any super results, or are you struggling?
Yeah, so it depends on which order you click the photos in.
Okay.
So we've done it just now.
You can add multiple photos before you click return as well. And if by chance you entered it in wrong, you can always go back and say, start from the beginning. Here's 2 photos, process them at once. The better you train, the better you formulate your, say, these are my answers to the synthesis, the better your results will get. So you're also training it to help you get better results. Now, what I didn't tell you in the beginning is that at the bottom of every question that you answered on the interactive one, which you didn't see on the one, which you didn't get to use, is also another GPT that I've created specifically for every question that you've asked in this book. So you could actually go back in the interactive one and put all the answers that you have on this into here, and for every question that I asked you, these are all unique GPTs that I created specifically for every one of the questions that I asked you, so that you can go back and even fine-tune it even more. Some people, I wouldn't say that they didn't get the exercise that we did or the answers or the questions, but they gave bullet points. They said happy, love. They said regeneration. And so the answers that they got were like, you seem like a very happy person. Sounds like you like regeneration. And so the answers that you get back in return, and the finer that purpose for existing or that why or that answer is based upon you. If you give it, sorry to say, if you give it poor answers or you're not detailed enough and you're too general, it will also be very general for you. But the more specific you are and make it personal, because this is your personal question, your personal why, your personal purpose for existing, your personal what does a world that works for everyone look like for you. And you can get very specific and you can get very powerful. So the better you get, the more you make it the way you want, and use these tools, they're there. This interactive PDF and the GPTs that I've created will be available for you forever. I've created this and specifically for all my workshops. And eventually I will even be adding more tools that I will send to you. At the end of this entire presentation, there's actually one more question that I'm going to ask you. Basically, at the very end, it shows you my name and my picture on the last page, my LinkedIn, and also a QR code. But if you want to email me and say, hey, Mark, I'd like updates in the future, I would like to be part of certain things that you do, then I will keep you in the loop and try to give you tools to help you be more powerful, to be more squared. So if you want to do that, I'll be glad to help you in the future. The next question is, before this decade is out, I will do this. And that's a meme. And I would like you to go back to the paper to answer this one. I would also like, when you're home and you have more time or you're in a quiet space, I would like you to transfer all their answers from the workbook, either via picture or read them in or type them in into the interactive one, and start to use those prompts to fine-tune, because I told you this is just a couple hours and the normal course is 7 days and a lot more reiteration. This meme, before this decade is out, came from John F. Kennedy. He stood in front of Congress and in front of the Rice-Eccles Stadium in America at the Texas A&M game, and he said, before this decade is out, we will put men on the moon. And he did that. A decade is 10 years, and he did that in 8 years and put men on the moon. I'm going to give you that same meme. Before this decade is out, 6 years, what will you do? Before this decade is out, I will get married, get divorced, have kids, graduate college, get a PhD, save the world, be richer than Elon Musk or Bill Gates, or I will, in America, a decade is 10 years, 6 years are left. In America, you can serve a life sentence in prison as 5 years. You can serve a life prison. You can get married 5 times and divorced 5 times. You can have dozens of kids. You can get 2 PhDs in 6 years. You can graduate from high school and college and all sorts of things in 6 years. It's really a lot that you can do. So before this decade is out, you will do what? Please write that down now.
Sorry, we have 20 minutes left.
20 minutes. Whoops. Okay, perfect.
We have until 12:15.
12:50, perfect. Thank you. Okay, we're done. Thank you so much for filling out those questions. We're done with the workbook now, but I want to give you some explanations and kind of some tools and tricks moving forward. People so in our world today, we have globally 86% job dissatisfaction. People who are in their jobs around the world, 86% of them have job dissatisfaction, that they don't like their jobs, they hate it, they're not being paid a fair wage, they don't see themselves staying there forever. And a big reason for that is their own why and their own purpose for existing is not aligned with the organization or the company they work with. And there's a very cyclical process in our world that, especially in the working world, about every 6 months, somebody is on this curve. We call it an S curve, and I'll explain that a little bit more in a minute. On this S curve, that they need to get within 6 months a new project, a raise, a promotion, do something new, stimulating, fun, or they need to enjoy their work. Otherwise, they get to the top of that S curve, and if it's more than 6 months and they're not going to see any future, they don't see improvement or joy, and it's just they feel like a robot, they're like a zombie, they just go to work 9 to 5 and do the same thing, and there's no raise or promotion, nothing excitement, no new project. Then there's a burnout or a death that occurs. Now, a lot of you have heard about the S curve before, and we're all on this S curve that continually climbs up and it's growing exponentially. But what we don't tell you is this S curve is actually a bell curve, and it's a nominal curve. It actually is what we call the Gaussian curve, and it goes back down. So it's got this large hump. And that other half of it is kind of this, what we call the gap or chasm, that when people don't see the future getting better or improving or a new project or a raise or something, they can't sustain it. So they start to go downhill. They get depressed. They start to burn out. They become on autopilot like a zombie, or they become numb or desensitized. And that's usually when people either burn out, go crazy, get tired, die, have health problems, have health issues. And in that process, if something can happen, that they do get a raise, or they find something, or they find a new job or something, then that can shoot them back up again. But then it's always around a 6-month process. And because our world is growing so fast and business is getting so fast, and now AI is coming in, and people are worried about AI taking over, and quantum mechanics and quantum computing, and then how do I keep up with that? Will I lose my job? Will my job be taken away? There's that 6 months is even speeding up more. It's very rare that you say, oh yeah, I've worked for this company for 30, 40 years. That's a rarity today. There's some of you, maybe you've been fortunate to do that, but it's a really rare thing. And usually those people are also have went through many burnouts, many illnesses, many phases of disruption in their life where they're uncertain or they feel lots of frustration. I know there's people who spend most of their time preparing to go to work. I know people all around the world, they say, I've got to go to work on Monday, and I got to prepare, I got to do my makeup, I got to get ready, I got to get some sleep, you know. And then all week long, they're like, I can't wait for the weekend, I can't wait. Oh, Friday, oh, please, Friday come. And then they're like Friday, and then they either pass out or they're so happy they party or whatever, and they're living for the weekend. That's not healthy. Long term, that's not healthy. We spend the majority of our life working. Don't we want to spend that time with people we love, doing something we love, that we're passionate about, that we're aligned with our mission, our purpose, and our why? And if we can align those to be one thing and enjoy the people we work with and say, I would go to a movie, I would go partying, I would go for a drink or dinner or bowling or to a movie or dancing with my colleagues. And if my colleague or my friends at work get sick, I don't mind covering for them because I know that they would cover for me. And we're on a bigger mission and we're doing something that's great. When you hear companies like Patagonia or EcoAlf or Tesla or other companies, they really care about their employees. They want them to succeed and be healthy. They give them good benefits. They pay them a fair wage. And that's really important. And so when I asked you, how many models are you living in your life? Does anybody know why I asked that question? How many models are you living in a typical day of your life? It's because a lot of people are living, the majority of people are living 5 models in their life. But guess what? They separate each of those models out separately. But there's only 24 hours a day, and hopefully 8 hours of the day you're sleeping and not worrying about those 5 models, right? And if you now take that other, 16 hours of the day out of the 8 that you don't sleep, and you're dividing it from 5 different models that are all separate, I promise you that can only go so long until you start to feel burnout or you start to feel tired or you start to run into problems. You need to understand there's only life, and all those models are only one. You need to create a model that includes all facets of life, complex systems thinking, into one life model that makes you happy, that makes you fulfilled, that covers your basic needs, covers your future needs, and it's just all one model. And it works in your private life and it works in your life because there is no separation. It is just life. And when you get into that mode and you realize that, I want to give you an example. Our body has 11 systems in it. It has the digestive system, the nervous system, the skeletal system, the reproduction system, the muscular system. It has 11 systems. Not one of those systems controls the other 10. They all work in harmony. So the nervous system doesn't tell the rest of the body, okay, now eat, now breathe. All those systems work in harmony. But let's say you break a bone. Let's say you break your leg or break your arm. All other 10 systems try to compensate so that you don't die or you don't become disabilitated. So those other systems say, oh no, we've broken a bone and we got to help that system. They work gooey in harmony, but there's not one of them that are controlling the others. Everything in our world, not only our body, our planet, our organization, is made up of systems and subsystems. But I want you to know a lot of them are gooey. They're what I call autonomous. They operate without us having to think about them. And if we can put a life model by knowing what our why is, our purpose for existing, knowing what systems and direction we want to go into in the future, we can put a lot of those into one system with many subset facets of that system that operate autonomously, like artificial intelligence. And we can use technology, AI for good, quantum computing for good, when it gets complex, when it gets too systems overload, that if we give that to AI, after we decide how we want to live and after we decide our why and purpose, we can give that over to technology and say, I want to make sure that I eat good every day, I sleep good every day, that my family's taken care of, that I'm happy at work, that I get all my job done. And it can help you. Technology can help you to become exponential. Not only can it do that, but guess what? Even technology aside, if you know your why, your purpose for existing, and know what the future looks like and have a goal and vision to get there, the rest of the world will fall in line, and you will fall in line and evolve with our planet. in the right way. You will live a life full of abundance and good living, and know where you want to go in the future. Now, these models are all models that discount the future. So economic models today that are the classical, general, bad economic models, they use what's called a discount rate, and it's a social discount rate for the future. That means that all economic models are currently discounting our future by 3%. That means that because of that discount rate, I'm an economist, so I'm an ecological economist. I studied with Herman Daly, the second father of ecological economics. He was working for the World Bank as an economist, and he left the World Bank in an open letter in the New York Times saying how bad capitalism and growth economics was. And he wrote a book about Beyond Growth, and he started teaching at the University of Maryland ecological economics, or steady state economics. And as an ecological economist, we think about the living systems, we think about ecology, and we think about how the world works and how it works for us. And all these systems, all these economic models, they discount our future by 3%. Just to explain what that means is that since we're discounting the future by 3%, none of you, I'm sorry, young and old, will see a bright future, because a 3% discount rate, no matter how far in the future, will never be above incremental growth. It will never be exponential. It will never be quantum. And there's one important factor. All these models require someone else to suffer. There's someone else who is a have-not. They don't get things. It's taking money and opportunities from other people. And most people don't describe that. The model requires people to have less and suffer for them to work, and they also require bailouts when these bubbles occur so we can go right back to the bad system. And I want you to be well aware of that. As an economist, I'm telling you this. But these ecological economic models, they work well with each other. They are redundant. They are regenerative. They're rejuvenating. You can work one of them, or you can do all of them, and all as they do is give redundancy, and they amplify each other, making the system even better. More profitable, more adaptable, more abundant, more mitigating. It's just a better model for life. And the reason I put Earth for All at the top, that's actually a book that came out from the Club of Rome. And the really cool thing about it is they included 5 models all together, 5 economic models, and they included them all together in a very toilet read book called The Earth for All. And it includes the planetary boundaries, the well-being economics, the donut economics. It includes the circular economy, and it includes the limits to growth model, the World Model 3 that has been updated for us. And it's using all 5 of those ecological economic models at once to make a world that benefits everybody without discounting into the future. There's an economist, his name's Nicholas Stern. He's from the United Kingdom. He did a report for the world. It's called the Stern Review, or the Stern Report. In that report, he specifically talked about this discount rate that we use in our economic models that are discounting the future of our generations. That means that the future will always be bleak and not bright for those future generations. So the legacy that we're leaving on these current economic models is one that's very destructive and bad for future generations. But they only hear about the climate change, or the oil and gas companies, or the airlines, or the food companies, and so they go out and they protest. But they don't hear about these models that have been in place for a long time that aren't taking account how do we make our world better for future generations. And the reason I tell you about this is everything that we're doing, the reason you're in this workshop, is you want to evolve. You want to have a bright future. Everything that you're doing today, the reason you're here at this conference, yeah, you might be here for a company, you might have been asked to come, but it's to think about how can we have a more sustainable, better future. It's how we live. It's the built environment. It's how we live. When throughout my life, I have always thought, wow, I get to decorate my own home. I get to wear the clothes that I like. I get to eat the food that I like. I get to speak the languages I like. I get to travel the way I like. And you can design and create the life that you want to live. And that's called evolution. That's why we don't live in caves anymore and club each other over the head with clubs, right? Because we evolved. We did not leave the Stone Age because we ran out of stones. We left the Stone Age because there's a better way to live and more safer, regenerative, nicer way to live in harmony with each other and still have a bright, clean future, clean air, and beautiful buildings. And that's the reason that I asked you to, let me just show you these last slides. To get out of this ego where man's at the top and woman's not at the top and all other species are below us and man's controlling everything, to this ecological view where man and woman are in the center amongst all species. But to take it a step further, seva is an old Sanskrit word which means regeneration, selfless service to life, where we're in a loving, harmonious relationship one with another, and that we're all equal. There's no one above the other, that we're on this journey to the Symbiocene. And I know that if you take the tools and you fine-tune them, what I've given you today, you will be a billionaire. You will be a trillionaire. You will live an abundant life. You will be happy. You will know your vision. You will know where you're going. You'll be able to guide those in your organization, in your family, in your life, your friends, to a much beautiful, more brighter, regenerative future. And I thank you for your time, your hard work. Please use these tools, make them finer, and become the quantum you. Thank you. I think we're done. We got to go.